Hello everybody, welcome to the 1v1 championship between Blues and YerAnd. I'm Philothenic with my co-host Terra Incognita.
Yep, hi everyone, and game one of this really high quality series, hopefully, between Blues and YerAnd, both of whom fought their way through a bunch of formidable players to be here in the finals, and they are rewarded with kind of an interesting map. There's a scientist spot in the southeast. There's not a whole lot else. There's a scientist spot in the southwest as well, and Blues are going to take it.
The one scientist spot and YerAnd going for an expansive over in that other spot. Both YerAnd looking to sell down some water, going into some iron, and also picking up aluminum. Blues going directly into metal mines, taking advantage of that a little bit higher iron price, and also going to
Yep, I think they're going to be steel mills very shortly indeed. YerAnd instead going for the water and the metal mine, as you said. So a little bit of a slower start, just because there's that shipping cost involved, and I think Blues does have a little tiny bit of a head start, and maybe not actually. Maybe YerAnd slightly ahead in cash and resources. Not exactly sure, but Blues trying to get
has all his
the
aluminum
steel
bought up. YerAnd has no aluminum, so Blues is slightly ahead there. Blues just needs to buy another 13 steel to get that upgrade.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Transitioning, so that'll put him back a little bit. It'll be about equal.
Yeah, certainly Blues' income is high. YerAnd does get the 2 first though, and I mean it won't be by very much. He immediately connects his iron to his base and puts a bunch of steel mills down, as you might expect, and a second iron mine as well.
Switching to 2 steel mills and deciding instead he wants to connect that water. Splitting those steel mills better for defense against the power surge, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Blues. I'm assuming we're going to see a goon sort of one from the end. By the way, for YerAnd, Blues was some way behind actually getting to level 2, and that was a little bit surprising. He puts some water pumps down just to try and get some quick cash. And oh, that's what he spent his money on. So he spent his money on a power surge, and immediately down that line, before YerAnd can buy a goon squad, which he did a few seconds later,
yes,
he is shut down.
Yeah, Blues suffered from his upgrade a little bit because he wasn't quite able to make enough iron money and had to transition to steel. And that transition time's what hurt him. That bet going into iron first almost paid off. But this power surge should sort of equalize things a little bit here.
Yeah, and YerAnd has collected a bunch of aluminum, which is at $5, so that's not going to be a huge amount of an advantage for him. Blues, yeah, buying up all that iron so that YerAnd's steel mills are unprofitable. He knows he doesn't have any. So that's where he's putting his money for now, just to try and slow YerAnd down a little bit.
Also transitioning into farms here, take advantage of that increasing food price. I expect we'll see both players might move into power at level 3, as the power price is increasing very slowly, surely, and we do have a power colony which added on another power module.
Yeah, so we have what, 3 power modules and a chem module for the colony. Another freeze comes down from Blues. That was a bit more expensive. That was 4,500 he spent on that. Got the money, I guess, from the food that he's shipping in, or he's just about to ship in another load of food. So Blues may be slightly ahead in this one, and indeed he does get to level 3 first.
Yeah, so far Blues' power surges have been on point, targeting what YerAnd needed to upgrade, and now defending Blues' market in farms, just to make sure that he gets that money. Blues putting up at least 1 solar panel right now while connecting his farms, so he doesn't have to ship anymore, and going for a geothermal vent.
Geotherm as well, so
steel and aluminum, very cheap. I like this move.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not cost him very much at all. And that'll be, what, 3? In fact, he's cancelled the solar panel. He repositioned the solar panel, in fact. So it's right next to his base rather than being out on the water tile. on which he's put a farm. So Blue's in a little bit more debt. He's about double the amount of debt that YerAnd is. He's at 64,000 compared to 32. Honestly, I think a lot of that is because YerAnd's steel mills were shut down for a lot of the game. And Blues found it first. What did Blues found out? Was it early? Oh, it was 20,000. So yeah, that makes a difference too.
20,000, quite reasonable. Nothing super high like earlier in the series.
Yeah, it's there were definitely two spots in this game. YerAnd gets to 3 then, and we're going to see what he's going to do with this very shortly. Presumably, we're going to see power very soon indeed. Yeah, solar condensers and no power.
2 geothermal vents.
Ah, there's the geotherm. So one there in the northwest and one there on the east edge of the map. They're going to take a while to come online though, and Blues has already got his online.
And
and he's boosting it out as well. So Blues certainly going to get the initial boost of cash from this power play. Energy Vault. Now with power at 260, this isn't completely worthless, is it?
It's not completely worthless now. With both players going into geothermal vents instead of heavily in solar, it's not as useful as it might be. But
yeah, it is really just that 1 power a second. It doesn't sort of keep you ticking overnight, as it were. Blues does have a solar panel.
Blues does have 1 solar panel, but his geotherm should be able to cover his power costs overnight, benefiting from this little natural shortage on food right now, and Blues takes the upgrade, beating the expansion to level 4.
Yeah, so not only did Blues get the initial power play, he's significantly ahead in upgrades as well, because YerAnd's not really close to the upgrade. Doesn't have a whole lot of cash on hand or resources, and his upgrade is 28,000. So he's some way behind.
Needs another 14k in steel, and this is where going to those 2 steel mills is a little bit risky. Steel prices crept back up a little bit.
Yeah, and it uses all of that power, and he's putting 2 wind turbines down now, and there is the dynamite on the geotherm. He knew it wasn't gooned because only the 1 goon has been bought, and that was right at the beginning of the game, or relatively early in the game at least. So Blues, something interesting Blues has done as well, he's taken these 2 silicon in the far northwest of the map, which is going to be a long way to ship, but is going to get him some very good money. Certainly they're profitable at the moment.
Right. I like this little move by YerAnd over here, adrenaline boosting this 1 geothermal vent. Now what this might do is Blues actually might think that this geothermal vent is gooned when it is not. Because why would you boost a non-gooned geothermal vent?
So Blues, yeah, I mean maybe, but there are spies available. This is very risky indeed, and maybe he thinks he needs to do this to get back into the game.
There are spies, but it'll all depend on how well Blues has been tracking that the purchases, because Blues does not have any spies out, and if Blues is a little bit uncertain, he may decide that the 3k for the spy to check it out isn't worth it.
Yep.
It looks like that is the case, as Blues bought a goon squad.
So Blues probably not going to be able to. Well, he's certainly now not going to be able to make any money from power. So that was a smart little boost from YerAnd. It killed the power price quickly enough. Blues wasn't really able to benefit, and he now takes the upgrade as well. And now we might start to see that expansive advantage kick in a little bit with the more claims in the late game. 3 farms come down, so he's going to be in that market as well. Or in fact, Blues is not in that market anymore, so he's got that all to himself.
Right. Blues has switched over to the electrolysis reactors, which are about making roughly the same per second as farms are.
Yeah, and he's in a good position to benefit from the pretty high glass price as well. Glass is, 81 in profit just for a single one, so certainly well above 100 for a pair. And I wonder if we're going to see that at some point.
Right, I wonder if Blues is going to try to go for teleportation, or if he's just going to rely on shipping silicon in.
So
Blues does get to level 5 first.
Yeah, he's still some way ahead, isn't he?
Yes,
Although YerAnd's not far away from the upgrade now.
Going into glass kilns, relying on shipping the silicon in rather than using the scientific bonus. This makes sense. Doesn't have to use a tile for a patent lab.
Yeah, I mean, patent labs are always a little bit dicey in 1v1s. You don't necessarily want to commit that amount of resources to something that doesn't sort of interact directly with your opponent. Tends to only benefit you, rather than which is great in a 4-player game, but not so great in a 1v1 environment.
YerAnd takes the
Better off
upgrade
with a hacker array or something.
to level 5 and immediately goes to claim a silicon, so that will be some long distance shipping for YerAnd. However, fuel is very, very low, so this won't be much of an issue at all.
Yeah, it's more the time, isn't it, than the cost of the shipping. Right the way across the map, it's got to go all the way out there, the little claim bot, and then the shipments themselves have to come in all the way back down.
YerAnd trying to get into the glass market, but Blues immediately froze it.
Blue says, nope, none of that, thank you. Blues is in a patent lab now, so he is going slant drilling thinking machines, and he already has the energy vault, of course, from the auction. So YerAnd's, like, half of his stuff is off at the moment, and his glass is frozen. So he's kind of stalled out a little bit, and Blues pushing on with those patents, looking to get a good advantage in the late game. Offworlds are pretty good as well, so that thinking machines is going to do some work for him.
Yes, and you can also see why he's going into slant drilling. If you look at the one farm that he has not on a water tile, it's only making 20 a second. The farm on the water tile is making 62 a second. So slant drilling will make this little water patch a lot better for Blues as the game goes on, if life support continues to creep upward.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a super high value slant drilling. I guess it means that he can rotate the glass kiln tiles out into life support as well if he needs to. That's the other benefit that it gives it.
Just allows him some flexibility, especially since the launches are life support, so life support should be driven up in the late game.
So YerAnd in a hacker array, hacking chems up. So we've seen that nobody's in that particular market. Although Blues is now putting some chem refineries down.
As is YerAnd.
That's right. So they're both putting chem refineries down.
Right. Blues moving into some solar condensers to power those chemicals.
Yep,
life support has died just a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it never really it was never really alive. It was just kind of a little bit anemic, and the colony's not really grown very much either. It's only size 6. So it's a remarkably even game. This is possibly the most even game we've seen in this series that we've cast, or rather in the series of series that we cast.
YerAnd feeding Blues a dynamite.
Yeah, and I don't know. He had a bunch of stuff spied, and he knew. I guess maybe that might have been intentional, even with not very high value dynamite for YerAnd. Although hitting the silicon quarry will hurt just because of the distance. Hacking fuel though, so he's going to try and make a bit of money from that. He's got nearly 400 in his stockpile right now.
So most of the games in this elimination bracket haven't really reached the end game stage. This might be the first one. And we see Blues trying to take advantage of that thinking machines, going in for a gooned Offworld market.
Yeah, immediately, and this is going to make a lot of money for him. 40,000 is the launch already on Sol 6. YerAnd replying with his own Offworld market, which, where is it?
It's over, just immediately been pinged by Blues with one of those dynamites, and we're just going to be bouncing dynamites back and forth for a while.
Yeah, he pings it back. I mean, the dynamite is really the. I guess there are mutinies as well, but Blues can always stay ahead of the mutiny game if he's on top of it. But he doesn't have any at the moment. He does have 2 dynamites stored up. Which,
2 dynamites
I'm sure
just
one of them will
purchased a
be...
mutiny. And Blues' mutinies will last a lot longer on YerAnd than YerAnd's will on Blues due to the thinking machines.
Yeah, and there is the first of the dynamites falling onto the off-world market. He has it spied, as you would expect.
That repair
Spies are so
cost
cheap.
is not fun. 70k in resources.
Yeah, and again, that's half for Blues. So if YerAnd lands one, said he boosts YerAnd. What's he boosting? He's boosting the reconstruction of the off-world.
Unfortunately, Blues has a spy on that, so...
Well, not only does he have a spy, but if he purchased a boost, then he's not going to be able to defend it by the time it gets built again.
Right.
So just power of deduction tells Blues that that can't possibly be gooned.
Right. Unfortunately, there are no mind games, and here Blues tries to pick up a free...
Oh dear.
Boost. They don't expect it's going to be... Oh, Blues has the cooldown.
Back and forth, but yeah, Blues has the cooldown, and that's a boosted off-world that he's just taken away. He's got one of his own as well. And this is looking very dicey now for YerAnd, and Blues immediately getting aggressive going into YerAnd. He's a fairly expensive stock price, $26, but I would expect Blues very quickly to get the revenue he needs to push to this game 1.
YerAnd is currently hacking with Killed the price of iron, which is a good market to hack into because the scientist normally does not pull iron up from the ground, and YerAnd knows Blues probably will not have a stockpile of it.
I don't know, if it's $1, it costs so little just to buy like 200 of it. I guess your opponent knows if you do that. But
it costs $1 now. This was after he sold down from the first shortage.
Okay, but he's hacking it again.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. If I'm Blues and I see that happening, I definitely buy a couple hundred of that, just to disrupt if nothing else. Pleasure Dome auction, which is reasonably valuable. It's 120 with the 3 adjacency, so that'll be what, 156. So yeah, both want the cash on hand, and this is going to go high because the debt doesn't really matter at this point.
No,
that's the thing. They both really need the cash.
Both players were in good AA debt position before this Pleasure Dome came down, and I don't think the game will go long enough for debt to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Blues was very happy to just bid that up all the way. Yet again, the Offworld gets taken out, and Blues now is in the position where he is very shortly going to take this game here and does not have enough money to defend himself at the moment. He's got a hack coming in that doesn't give him enough money.
Array. Unfortunately, I think 1 Offworld beats 2 hacker arrays.
Yeah, it certainly does, and certainly 1.5 Offworlds, or possibly even 2 Offworlds, definitely beats a hacker array. So game 1 goes to Blues, then he takes that down. In the end, fairly comfortably, but it was a long one. It was even right up until the point, I think, where Blues did build that patent lab, and honestly quite impressive. Just the way that, like, you don't often see patent labs in 1v1s, even with scientists. But Blues had a very, very clear plan of what he was going to do with that patent lab, and he executed it really well.
The other turning point in that game was when YerAnd decided, instead of re-gooning his Offworld, instead of going to do the adrenaline boost. It worked. That sort of mind games worked for that undefended Geotherm early in the middle, but like you said at the time, Blues knew that YerAnd probably, well, he knew because he had a spy, but even if he didn't, it'd still be an extremely high-risk move. Because...
And I mean, honestly, if, like, with the Geotherm, it's one thing because you're just paying off, like, 30 or 40,000 of debt, and it's not such a big deal. But if it's an Offworld that gets boosted, you know, you're gonna pay a few $1,000s to get a spy. Like, it's not even a marginal decision at that point. It's just an absolute no-brainer, and Blues is just gonna do that.
Right.
And,
that
suspect that it's not gooned.
That Offworld control made the game auto sold, and resources sold was actually in YerAnd's favor, although some of that was due to hacks. But the auto sold very even between both players.
Yeah, I mean, I think just looking at the graphs now, I mean, certainly certainly Blues had seemed to have the head start in a lot of the markets, and certainly in the life support markets. YerAnd made a lot of money, but otherwise, I mean, the power was the big thing. He got the power down. He also sold a bunch more steel than YerAnd did, 105 to 62. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a really even game with two sort of roughly equivalent starting spots, I'd say.
Yep.
Blues maybe slightly better, but yeah, a really good contest. So a really good game one.